let's take a look at how to create a Xamarin Forms project. Open up Xamarin. I'm running this on a Mac, but it'll be the same on a PC, just minus the iOS solution. Click New Solution, and on the left-hand side, you'll see we have a lot of options, cross-platform, iOS, etc. If I just click through a few of these, you can see we get the classic iOS app, so single view, a tabbed app, that kind of thing. Same kind of thing for Android, and we can also create for Mac. For now, we're going to choose cross-platform app, and now in here we have two options. We can use Xamarin.Forms, or we can use a single view app. A single view app is actually just the cross-platform native app, and it's the classic way that Xamarin's done things. But this is a course on Xamarin Forms, so let's go ahead and select the Forms app and hit Next. We have to give it a name, so let's call this App 1, and we have to give an organization identifier, so I'll just put company in there, and so our identifiers on Android and iOS will be down here, com.company.app1, and this has to be unique in the app world. And then down below that, we want to target both platforms, and then we have some options. When we create our solution, we're going to create a shared code project. Now, you can either start off with a portable class library, or you can also use a shared library. There is no reason you can't have both in your project. The differences are the portable class library relies on the lowest common denominator. So if you declare something inside a PCL, it has to be supported on all of the platforms that you're targeting. A shared library, you can have conditional compilers in there. So when you come to compile for iOS, you can have a separate block of code that you look at instead of if you were compiling for Android, where you could look at a different block of code. And those are just simple if-else statements pertaining to which platform you're compiling for. For now, we're going to use a portable class library. Also, because a PCL is transportable, you can wrap it up into a DLL and you can give it over to other developers to use. You can't do the same with a shared library. Hit Next. It'll ask you for a name, a solution name, where to put it, etc. You can use Git for version control, but I'm just going to switch that off for now. You can also have insights and test cloud, but we're going to leave those for now. And when you hit create, Xamarin will run through and create the necessary files for you. And in your solution, you're going to have three main directories. One with your solution name, app1, and then an app1.droid and a .ios. And as you might imagine, the .droid pertains to Android and .ios pertains to iOS. And if I expand these three folders and we look at the top one without an extension on the end, this is the portable class library or the shared code project that is referenced by app1.droid and app1.ios. So if you click under references, you can see it's referenced there, and the same one in app1.ios, it's referenced there. If you right-click references, you can also edit them, and if you like, you can remove things or add things. It's up to you. So a few minutes ago, when I said you can actually have both a portable class library and a shared project, you would come over here to app1, you'd create one in here. I'm not going to do it now. And then, let me just close that. And then inside your .droid and .ios, you would create a reference to them. Okay. So, if we look at Droid or iOS, and if you're not familiar with the app world, they have different entry points into the app. On app1.droid, we have the main activity.cs. And if I look in here, I have this main activity. We'll get into what these declarations are later on. And I have a method in here called onCreate. And this is the first one that's fired when your app fires up. But here we have some specific code for Xamarin Forms. And this is saying I want you to load the application, new app. And it's much the same if we head over to iOS. In iOS, if we click App Delegate, we have the same here, finished launching. In this method is where we start to call the main code of our app. And again, we have our Xamarin Forms initialization and the loading of the application. If I click main.cs in the iOS project, there's nothing in there, so we'll ignore that for now. Pretend I didn't do that. Okay, so app delegate and main activity both ask Xamarin Forms for something. And that something is stored up here in app 1. So I'm just going to close these so we're not confused. And I'm going to double click app1.cs. And here we go. We have this class app that is referenced here and here. And inside this class app, we are creating what's called a main page. So this is the root of our application, the very first page that gets called. And inside that page, we have a new content page. And inside that content page, we have a stack layout. And this stack layout stacks things one on top of each other, horizontally or vertically. You decide which one. It gives you some options to position it. So vertical options, you have horizontal options too. So I can have, so equals layout options dot, and I can have center here, or I can have it at the end or the start. There is no right and left in this, so just bear that in mind. So I'm just going to shove this in the horizontal center. Don't forget your comma. And then inside that stack layout, we have a bunch of children. Now these children are the actual elements of your screen. So your buttons, your labels, your text fields, your entry text fields, list views, and things like that. In the next lecture, we're actually going to run this on some simulators for the iPhone and Android. And in that lecture, I'm also going to cover the installation of those simulators.